Hi, I'm Shasi, and this is the Silverfox Hustle Football Talk episode. And this is the latest episode. And what do you know? It's apt. It's so apt that we are going to speak about women's football because the FIFA World Cup just ended in Australia and New Zealand, and obviously the winner was Spain. And we've got some heartbreaks in the studio today. We will talk about that a little bit later. Yeah, we're going to speak about women's football, why the people who are in it are in it, how we can develop the game further here in Singapore and things like that. And in the house, we've got three guests, and they are basically stakeholders of the women's football here in Singapore. One is a sponsor, one is a present footballer, and a former national player as well. I think she is in the running for a national team spot again. I don't know. We shall talk about that as well. And a general manager of a club in the WNL and WPL. Right. Let me introduce to you guys the guest in the house. First up is the sponsor of the WPL, Deloitte Sports Business Group Leader, Mr. James Walton. We've got the General Manager of Royal Aerion WFC WNL, Mr. Norman Lim. He will try to he'll try to correct me on that one because it's a tongue twister, that one. And a woman footballer, Mastura Jalani, who is playing for Balestier Khalsa at the moment. Welcome, lady and gentlemen.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
We start off with James, the women's football and the FIFA World Cup. How was it in terms of the general competition?
I mean, with any competition like this, you look at two things, right? You look at the quality of the football, and then you look at the impact beyond that. And I think what surprised a lot of people this time, the tournament expanded from 24 teams to 32, and at the last World Cup, there was some pretty bad maulings going on of teams, and there was a question of when you expand to 32 whether you'll be diluting the quality and we'll see more one-sided games. But actually it was almost the opposite. It gave the opportunity for nations to come in, and we saw performances from teams like Nigeria, Philippines, Colombia, South Africa that really surprised in many ways. So the quality of football, undoubtedly the highest that we've ever had, both in terms of the quality but also in terms of the competitive nature. And I think it was exciting to see. This is the first time we've ever had a final that hasn't had the US or Germany in it. You had Germany going out at the group stage for the first time, the US the earliest they've ever gone out. So I think on the one hand you look at that and you say that's a success, right? And of course that then plays into the impact piece. And from an impact point of view, we're looking at 2 billion viewers worldwide throughout the tournament. We haven't got the figures yet for the final, but in the UK, the semi-final against Australia, 11 million people in the UK watched that semi-final. We had over 2 million people in the stadiums, which is a new high and a new record average attendance, over 30,000. The previous record was in the low 20s. So on all of those benchmarks, you say it's a success, but perhaps, and I think this is going to lead into a lot of the conversation today, there's still so many things around that are not working.
Right.
And you look at the fact that the Spain team that won is effectively a dysfunctional team at the moment, where you had 15 players demanding the manager be sacked a year ago.
Right.
Many of them still not in the reckoning.
Right.
And then you see teams like Nigeria, South Africa, Jamaica in warfare with their own FAs around the fact that they're not getting paid payments that they're entitled to, and it just shows how far there is still to go.
Right. Mastura, how about you? Who was your favorite for the tournament?
It has been England from the beginning.
Really?
Yeah.
You sure? Not because they won?
England didn't win. but it was England from the beginning,
Right. And how do you think they did? Is it heartbreak, James, last night? Yeah.
It was upsetting a little bit because they've been a bit hit and miss this whole tournament, but I just don't think they did enough last night. Spain deserved to win, but
unfortunately I didn't get to watch the match because I have my own match, which I don't want to talk about it right now.
Oh, okay. Actually, there's two things we can talk about. No. Your game and the fact that you're playing a game on final day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, exactly. Right. So
at least you were here to play the game, unlike some people who went to watch the final.
Oh, thank you for that.
Wow. Right.
Yes, true.
So England was your fan, and was there a little bit of heartbreak last night?
Yes, super. Like it was after the game, checking the result after is double heartbreak.
How about you, Norman?
To be very honest, I haven't been watching a lot, but this year, after I joined Aerion, whenever there's an opportunity to watch the Women's World Cup, because I work from home sometimes, I get to watch. So I'm pretty impressed by how much more exposure the game for women's, especially the World Cup now, is being advertised, and there's more people talking about it. Even if you look at the stadiums, it's filling up. Maybe certain games at the start, you get maybe one quarter of the stadium, but as it progresses, I think it gets more interest, and the stadium starts filling up. I think that's pretty impressive. I think, of course, to what James said, there's still a long way, but yeah, definitely much better than 4 years ago, I would say.
Nice. Now, shout out to Japan as well. I thought Japan was great, brilliant. You know, for
got the golden boot as well.
For Asia, brilliant. Well, James, let's start off with you. Let's kickstart this episode proper, because we want to talk about the women's game here in Singapore. You know, I think that's what we all are here for. Let's talk about Deloitte, right? And you are the main sponsors of the league, the Women's Premier League. What was the thinking behind this? Why sponsor the Women's League when you could sponsor something else, a different sport maybe?
I mean, so we've been sponsoring netball obviously for many years, as well as supporting Team Singapore, and I think what it came down to was a couple of things. If we've had a bunch of women's footballers, including national players, working in the company going back 7 or 8 years now. So originally people like Ho Hui Sin and Deborah Chin, Angie Pang. Even now we have Nadra and Beatrice Tan working in Deloitte now. So there's an element was that we were always trying to see what we could do to support them and help them. But equally we have people from other sports as well, right? But we looked at it and we saw that there was an opportunity here for Singapore in a sport that is, in a way, is an emerging sport where the kind of new world order is still being decided, as we saw with Philippines making it to the World Cup. And you know, I often talk with Neil Humphreys, and Neil Humphreys will always say that if he were investing $1 right now in football in Singapore, he'd be putting it in the women, because there's more likelihood of the women's team making it to the World Cup than the men's team anytime soon, right? And so we were looking at that, and we were saying, well, here's an opportunity with a sport where you can actually inspire the next generation, young girls, to play a game that currently they are simply not playing. And so that dollar you put in, that time, that effort you put in, will have a much larger impact than if you perhaps put it in one of the more established sports. So it was really about supporting our own people, but also seeing a whole group of young girls in society that wanted to play a sport, that simply the avenues, the opportunities were not there.
Has it been a good decision so far?
So far so good. I mean, what's been really pleasing is we've seen a huge amount of media coverage, which as a sponsor is always great, right? And I think hats off to people like Straits Times and Monitor, as well as some of our own local specialist channels like SG Women's Football, Women's Football in SG, 2 different channels, don't ask why. Soccer Girl Goals, groups like that have been really trying to raise the coverage, and as a sponsor you love that. But I think from a footballing point of view, we're seeing a higher quality of football, more girls playing. Now you've got the National League starting as well. The most heartwarming thing to me really is when the players come and tell me that they remember, pre-COVID, that they would be playing a match in the middle of nowhere late at night with 3 people in the stands.
Right.
And now they're getting a stadium with supporters in it, and that the games are publicized, so people know where to come to the stadium and watch the games. And to me, I say as a sponsor, that means we've made a difference.
Yeah, I'll come to that a little bit later on. I want to talk to Mastura about this as well. Now, looking at your credentials, Mastura, it's a long list, and just a question about you were the youngest player to play in the national team. Does that record still stand? Yes.
Yeah.
And at what age was this?
14 years and 2 6 days, I think.
Oh, that is absolutely brilliant. Well done, Mastura.
Thank you.
You're still the youngest player ever to don the national colours for Singapore. Excellent.
You're trying to become the oldest player.
I don't know.
you might no. Anyway, you just or you were recovering from an ACL injury, and when did that happen?
In last July, 10 July.
And you're fully recovered, and you're playing.
Yes.
Any ambitions of getting back into the national team?
Of course. There's like easy say it's undone business, unfinished business.
Unfinished business.
Yeah.
Nice, brilliant. I like that. And I think you've been a tremendous servant to Singapore football, right? And looking at the women's football landscape over the years, because you've been there for a very long time till now. It looks like you've been there for a long time, right? What changes have you seen so far from then and now? Let's say you take maybe 10 years back and now. What will the change, or what are the changes you've seen so far in the women's
A
football
lot.
landscape?
It's a lot of changes, and I'm so glad I'm still part of it right now and witness the changes. Yeah. So, number one is probably the pitch that we have right now. We have dedicated like home of women's football, Yishun and Choa Chu Kang Stadium, and that is something that's really important, because last time we used to play in primary school pitches where we kick the corner kick, we can reach the other
For matches.
Yeah, our women's Premier League, and it is a top tier league. We are playing in the primary school, and then supporters come, they sit on the ground, raining, they just hold an umbrella. Not even supporters, even our officials, even our like reserves were sitting under the rain. If it rains, let's say, like, and then we use like plastic chairs. It's not even enough. So, and then we have kids like playing at the side of the field
While the game is on, right?
Yeah. And no ball picker. Okay, that's the dugout part. And then ball pickers. Like, do we have ball pickers right now?
Yeah.
And then fourth official substitution board is now we have those. Like last time we don't have it. It's just like a school game. Give this one check. Okay, you come out. That kind of thing. Like not even it's really that primary school game whereby we are women's Premier League. You know.
Right.
And then right now social media, like James mentioned, social media. It's really really. I think that's very the big thing that caused the changes. I think people know where to go.
It's awareness, isn't it? That people
Correct.
are more aware that firstly there's a league.
Correct.
Women are playing.
Yes.
You know, a proper place to play as well. I think that's great. You know,
Last time we don't have any of this, you know. So like, I'm really lucky to still play right now. So there's one moment I remember. There's only like 4 or 5 teams, and we played 3 rounds of the league. And it's better now. Last year we had 7, this year we have 10. Even like in one season we changed. Last season we don't even have dugout. So in one season like it's changed. So it's coming. It's coming.
There's progression.
Progression. Yes.
Do you see more women footballers taking up the sport now, like kids and stuff?
Of course I do. There are, during my time I don't remember primary school having like CCAs, football CCAs.
You're right.
You know, like, and probably it can be better, like probably sports school having the women's team. I don't know. I'm looking forward to all that.
Actually, that's a good shout. You know.
I'm not sure why there isn't yet, but there are a group of girls. There are many girls playing now.
It's a very good shout, and I haven't thought about this as well, because you know they've been around for a long time, the sports school, right? And they don't have a women's. Probably I'll ask them one of these days.
I think what we're seeing though, even with the schools that are playing, is in some cases they don't have enough girls to actually train, because you need 20 girls to train. So even with the schools that have been identified now as centers of excellence, a lot of the time it's actually 3 or 4 schools coming together to train as one team, as one center of excellence. And I think that's been the issue with sports school as well.
I see.
Norman, you are the GM for. You tell me the names of the 2 teams so that we don't get confused here.
So there's basically our club is called Aerion.
Right.
Aerion is the main name for the clubs, but because we have a big group of players, so we decided to participate in both leagues. Right?
Nice.
So we have Steel Aerion that's participating in the WPL, the Women's Premier League.
Okay.
And then we have Royal Aerion, who is participating in the Women's National League.
Right. And you know, when we talk about women's football, and even the Division 1 of the men's side of things as well, you know, and usually the club officials are volunteers. Usually, right? So why do you guys do the things that you do? Why do you spend your time, spend your money, sometimes or your own money, spend whatever, right? Why do you guys do this?
I think it's a very good question, right? So I'm still trying to understand fully why we are doing this. But a few months ago, Simon and Derek, they gave us a shout out, right? They contacted me, and of course some of the other officials. They say that Cafe Football and the Arena decided to adopt Aerion Women's Football Club.
Right.
So I was like, what is that? Tell me more, right? So they started explaining, sharing their vision, what they want to do, and I personally do not have sports related activities in my CV.
Right.
So I'm quite ignorant to the sports scene in Singapore, to be very honest. But I'm also someone that likes to challenge myself and like to be doing something different and make myself uncomfortable.
Right.
So
Are you
so
uncomfortable now?
No, yes. Actually, I decided to join this podcast because I've never done one before, so it's quite fun, right? So a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm going into it.
Great, nice.
Yeah. So we believe in the vision, and we just try our best, right? But what I'm lacking in terms of the knowledge in football, local football, we have a very diverse team that is filling up the gaps.
That's
right?
great. That's great.
So Simon is a ex-national player, so
Right.
he needs to know all the football
Yeah.
that needs to be known. Right? I can't bring any more value in football. So what I bring in is trying to add in some professionalism, organizational structure within the team, within management, and then trying to bring the club forward with instilled discipline and things like that.
Listen, it's a very good point that you made. You know, obviously, and you are the GM, and you're doing the things that you do, and you're leaving the footballing side of things to the people who know football, and that's great. And then at least that's happening. You know, in terms of the club, you leave the football side of things to the. And by the way, Simon, he is from Cafe Football. He's here, by the way, in the studio. You can't see him. Later we'll have a chat. But yeah, he's here, and he's the footballing person of the club. And yeah, you know, James, let's talk about. I think Mastura talked about the social media part and stuff like that. On your part, on a personal level, what have you done? You know, because I see you promoting it, you know, marketing wise, and even was last season when there was commentary on games. I saw that one.
TV,
Yeah. So no. At least there's something, you know, awareness and stuff like that. So what have you done basically to create that?
No,
You know?
I think the reality is there's a lot of people out there that want to do something and have the energy and the time and the effort. And I got to be honest, I don't have the time a lot of the occasions. So there were a couple of groups that approached me and said that they wanted to do more to raise the profile and see what they can do. And as I say, I don't have time, but I have a bit of money here and there, and I can hopefully get the voice, get the message out there a little bit. So I was working with SG Women's Football in particular, helping fund them a little bit on some of their activities. And one of the things we wanted to do was to have the games being live streamed, because again, to give that opportunity, especially the young girls who maybe can't go out on their own and go to the stadium to show those matches. So last season we were able to pretty much live stream every single match because it was at Yishan. There was only 3 games on a weekend. It was nice and easy. This year's actually been a little bit more difficult. Unfortunately, I've been traveling a lot. The games are in 2 different stadiums. There's 5 games on the weekend. Sometimes the games are clashing, and 1 or 2 of our other volunteers have either been unavailable or whatever, so we haven't managed to do as many games as we would like. But I think that's a big step. You know, the SPL, the games are being broadcast, right? Which means people can watch, and I think that's something we need to get back towards. Is getting those WPL games broadcast again, and it's something that we're going to work with FAS as well as with the rights holders to see what we can do to make that happen again.
I think amongst many things that we are lacking in terms of the women's football, it's also good people. You're talking about volunteers and stuff. I think the good people who wants to do it, we are lacking in those people who's coming out to do it, right? I'm sure you're lacking in manpower.
You know, I mean, we've been shouting out for volunteers, to be honest. If there's anyone out there, we've literally been saying, we've got all the equipment, we've got the cameras, we've got the live streaming devices. We just need someone to stand there on the day and point and click kind of thing. And unfortunately, sometimes that's hard. And most of the volunteers we do get, we're still at that stage where the majority of volunteers are there because their daughter is playing, their sister is playing, their friend is playing, which unfortunately isn't so easy then when you're trying to manage that, because if they're not playing or if they're playing at a different place, it makes it hard to maneuver. Whereas I think on the men's side, there's been a core of volunteers over the years that are involved with the clubs and are committed, and it's not about a family member, it's about a connection. And I think that's something we need to build on the women's side.
I think another thing that's been lacking, obviously, is the funding. I think, at least, and then, you know, Norman, maybe I talked to you about this one. What is it, 20k 30k per year?
Around that, and a portion of that goes into the insurance. if you ask me whether it's enough, like as to whatever you're doing, if there's any funding, it's never enough, right?
Yeah,
Of course,
true.
Yeah, if there's more and there's a way of us trying to lobby for it, of course we'll as a club we would be participating in that. What is important is as well, like what are we trying to do to make this funding relevant for the club, to grow the club, right? Use it wisely.
Yeah.
And I think as a club, to move forward, we need to be financial. We need to be financially sustainable.
Right.
Yeah. Otherwise, we have to. I
Be-
mean,
because the,
yeah.
most of the money, like you say, goes into insurance, and obviously you've got the other aspects, right? If you pay the players, do you not pay the players?
Yeah.
Equipment.
At the moment for Aerion, we are not paying the players.
Right.
So we are very. I think we are very blessed and happy that we have a big group of players that is coming to play professionally.
Yeah.
I mean professionally,
Yeah,
as in
yeah.
they come and train
Right,
professionally
right,
without
right,
any pay, and they are so passionate about it, right? But as we move forward, what we want to be doing is to be able to give these players some stipend, to give the staff some stipends for them to
At least pay for their grab money, right?
Exactly,
That's the
exactly,
way. At least
exactly.
make sure they're not being out of pocket. That's got to be the goal.
Yeah, and listen, and to all the women footballers and who's watching this or who's going to listen to this as well, shout out to you guys, because listen, you're doing this for absolutely nothing, for absolutely zero. I think Mastura can share as well, you know, and it's sad, you know, but it's how it is. But I think we need to make that progress towards you know, payment and what have you, because I think things need to be done right. And you know, I was on a podcast recently on Yahoo and I was talking about this. You know, if you want to do something, do it right. You know, you can't go halfway and then you know, it's not right. Mas, you know, do you think we stand a better chance of reaching a major I don't want to say a World Cup, right, a major tournament in the ladies game than a men's game? No disrespect to the men's game, but I'm talking about just opportunities there.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I discussed this. Like I'm telling my friend, like, oh,
Right.
I'm going this. Like, give me your inputs. Like, everybody
Yeah.
have the same mindset. Like, yes, of course we are going.
Yeah.
We have a better chance, definitely. Like, let's say, okay, right now Singapore, yes, we are progressing, but let's go to the neighborhood, like countries, ASEAN countries,
Right.
like Thailand. They were in the World Cup twice. They missed
Yeah.
out this year's. Philippines is doing well
Right.
as well. You know, so.
Vietnam.
Yeah, Vietnam. Yeah,
Right,
Vietnam.
right.
So, if you ask me that, of course, definitely. And players that we have, Siti Rosnani, Danelle, who is in Dortmund right now.
Right.
Like, we have players like this who are playing out there, they taking that lead. And men, right now, probably Irfan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What-
those are the ones that.
What was the standard like? You know, if because coming from a player, I think that's more legit, right? Let's say you take Thailand right now at the present moment, and what was the standard? What's the gulf in difference? Is it like really big, that gap? I'm talking about Singapore and Thailand.
Not much. We are progressing. Last time, I have to admit, we got trash
Okay.
easily. But I'm not sure whether, how do I say, whether it's Singapore football progressing, or they just yeah, it is definitely. But to think back, yes, we are in the SEA Games. I was part in the SEA Games team last year. The scoreline was, yes, we lost, but it's something. It's happy tears. We end up. Everybody went into the locker room like.
What was
happy
the
tears.
score?
3-0.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
from
That is
probably.
that's about the gap right now. It's 3 or 4.
Yeah, and just like World Cup, they have that kind of scoreline, which is not far off, and we are getting there definitely. Yeah.
So just judging from that, right? And I think any one of you can answer this as well. What needs to be done on the football level? Let's forget about funding and all this, right? On the football level, the technical part, coaching wise, you know, something needs to be done. I'm sure. Mas, and I talk to you because you're the footballing person here.
Long list coming.
Yeah. No, shoot, don't worry, because this we were not criticizing anyone. We were just talking about how we can improve the game. That's it. Period. Right. So what needs to be done? Tell me, Mas.
Yeah, probably technical FA, start from the F probably.
Right, okay.
Yeah, like support. We still need support. We have a lot of support, but we still need support.
Okay.
Like technical wise, players. Right now, you're trying to stray away from fundings, but I feel that.
Yeah, no, sure.
I feel that money matters.
Okay.
Like right now, money matters. Like clubs where like who don't pay, players tend to go to good players play for clubs who pay.
Of course.
You know, so the margin is there. Good players are up there, and that's why they
Right.
are like our scoreline, I would say.
Right,
Like,
right.
it matters. So now to say women football play for passion, that was before. Right now it's getting very competitive, and you cannot see women playing for passion right now,
right.
because passion don't put food on the table
Right,
right now.
right.
So that is the reason why we have good talented players from previous time. Like I would say during my time, if we have this kind of support during my time, we would probably be somewhere, you know. So like if we like all the clubs okay, wait, I want to touch on like we have talented players previously, and they stray away, they stop playing because they need to find job.
right.
They get married, they
they
get a
get-
job,
yeah,
they have
people like
family,
me.
and this- and you're not getting paid, then why am I doing this?
Exactly,
Yes,
so they
yes.
come for training, nothing, not a single cent. So I feel that this is the reason why people stop playing, and girls parents probably also see that like
right.
women's football don't go anywhere. I won't let my daughter play. You know, I have daughter as well. I would still want my daughter to play, but of course I want to see progressing and getting something from it. So if you wanna say what is wrong, I would say money.
Right. And I think in a way we are stuck in a time zone or something. We're getting complacent, as in last time we were doing it for passion, now so do it for passion, but you can't. We need to progress, we need to
Correct.
pay them.
Yes.
And I think I want to bring up the next point, because then you have, again, we've got the LCSs and the Tampines, the two teams. I think maybe from sources, they are paying players. Naturally, the players will move to these two clubs, and the so-called better ones will move to these clubs. And then the disparity, right? The gap in the standards when two teams play. So
So it's partly about the paying, but to be honest, you know, paying is not the only reason players are choosing to join LCS. They're also choosing to join LCS because their setup is professional.
Great point.
They know that you will develop as a better player and coach. So the irony is, you have the first and second choice women's national team goalkeepers are both there.
yeah.
Even though they can't both play in a game, although they did this weekend because one of them played outfield.
Yeah,
In fact, that's
yeah.
how
Wow.
it is. But
Okay.
they're going there because they know that, in their opinion, they will
Yeah.
get better coaching there. But I mean,
correct.
you talk about what needs to change, and say money is at the root of everything. But there's plenty of examples out there. You've only got to look at Spain and England and their journeys over the last 10 to 15 years to get to that World Cup final.
Yeah.
And you'll see that it starts with getting girls playing at the grassroots, which means the schools and the academies. It starts with your league becoming semi-professional and then working towards professional, which means there's a reason for people to stay in it. It starts with understanding that women's football is different to men's football. Just because someone can coach a men's team and coach men's players well doesn't mean they can coach women well.
I can't.
And having specialist training, as well as a specialist understanding of biomechanics and nutrition
And psychological- psychological
even
as well.
things like periods and how to train
Yeah.
during
Yeah, of
periods
course.
and things like that becomes an important part that we're not at the moment where we should be. And then how do you adjust the game? So one of the kind of continual queries at the moment is on the women's side, they have national women's training all year round alongside club training, which isn't happening on the men's side. And that is, historically, that's because the club training on the women's side wasn't good enough, the competition wasn't good enough. Is that still the case? I think at some clubs it possibly still is, but at other clubs like LCS would tell you they think they can train and develop the players just as well as the national team can. But until the league reaches that point of being semi-professional, which means that the other teams like Aerion and others can retain the players, attract and retain good coaches, that coaches want to coach women, not just coach the men's, that actually becomes something to aspire to, then it will be a challenge.
I think that's a very good point you made about the development part of clubs like LCS, because players want to go there naturally as well, and the national team did, right? Was there any tug-of-war before between the national team and clubs before, or not now, but between
no, only recently.
Yeah?
But that's because the clubs are trying to professionalize, right?
yes,
So the clubs are saying, we've got these players, we want them to train 5-6 days a week with us to be the best players they can. and national teams saying, well, we're not sure the club is giving you that, so we want them to train with us.
Yeah.
And that's where the friction's coming from.
Of
In the
course.
past, the clubs could only afford to train the players twice a week as well.
Yeah,
right?
so it goes back to doing things right? So if everything is done proper, you talked about the semi-pro and moving towards that, then there's no argument, there's no tug of war. You're training them right, I'm training them better, and all this nonsense, right? So things has got to be done right administratively and as well as in every other thing, right? Now, the biggest news in the past couple of weeks is a couple of World Cup players are in town. Yeah, they are World Cup players from Thailand, and they are in town, and they are playing for which club?
Roy Aerion.
Yeah, exactly. And Mr. Norman, how did you pull this off? A lot. I'm not asking this question, by the way. You look in social media, Facebook, and people are asking, how the hell did you guys get World Cup players to play in Singapore? Tell us all.
I would like to say it's my charm, but unfortunately it's not. It's actually Simon's charm.
Must be Simon and his Tom Yum soup.
Yeah. So I think when Cafe Football and Arena took over the club, we discussed what's the vision, what's the goal,
Right.
what do we want Aerion to be achieving in 3 to 5 years time, right? And one of the big topic that we all agree on is to make Aerion a club where most female players want to play for us. Right?
Nice.
Like people look at us and say, "Hey, I want to play."
Okay.
It's maybe like a LCS setup, but maybe we don't have that kind of financial power. But we're gonna build
Yeah.
and get there. So we came up with a few small little milestones and projects, and one of the project is of course to try and attract good foreign, good talented foreign players to come and play and first to come in to bring in that professionalism that they
Right.
receive overseas into Singapore, right? Because what I see in the girls that we have right now, I'm not saying for all, I'm not discrediting them, but I see they like certain discipline. Right?
Okay.
They come in with that social mindset, and we want to really move from being a social club to a professional club.
Nice.
So we told that to the club owners, and they overachieved, and they brought in 4 World Cup players. Right,
Well done, Simon.
This is very very exciting, and of course we want to be sustainable. We want to have we want to be a club where we have possibly an academy where we can have players coming in from different age group, coming in, train, and then develop them into.
Was it
into
easy
players.
getting them to sign on the dotted line? What did you tell them?
We tell them that there's an opportunity to play in Singapore for
Right.
the experience, and I think they want to come is also because the experience that they're going to receive here, and
Right.
they want to see what the standard of
Right.
Singapore football is.
They've been here for how long?
They came in July, first of July, and they've been training with us twice a week, three times a week, sorry, and I think they are enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think our players are enjoying
Yeah.
it. They are like fighting for more time to train with them.
Nice.
Naturally, they become more confident when they touch the ball, when they receive the ball, and they fight for every ball during the game.
This is
So
a very
it's-
good point, about the professionalism part. And Mas, I think, let me ask you, if you are training with a couple of World Cup players, right? What would you? I mean, there would be a change, isn't it, in the training ground,
Yes,
in the
of
mood
course,
as well.
atmosphere and mood. Yeah, it was just hype up the whole thing, right? Even right now, like, don't say World Cup, but some players go into a club and see some players as a star already.
Okay.
You understand? Yeah, so when World Cup players, of course it matters. Of course,
Yeah.
you like, even the other club players, wow,
Yeah.
like
Do
we
you
were
want to
going.
drop by Gombak tomorrow?
This is the
Off
first
the
ever,
camera,
this is
off
the
the
first ever
camera.
live transfer on the podcast.
I think Belster Kalsa, they're listening to this as well. Watching this as well. Nah,
Just kidding.
just kidding. No, but yeah, it's a great opportunity for the especially the youngsters as well, looking up to them and see how they train. It's the same thing with the men's football as well. You look at a foreigner coming in and top-notch footballer, and you're learning from them as well. I think that's very important.
Yeah, and one of the other projects we are also looking to build on is to try and send some of our players
Yeah.
overseas to train.
That's a great one.
To develop themselves and to get some hardship. I think Singaporeans can be a bit like we are very comfortable, we're happy, but if you train
Yeah, of course.
overseas, I think it's very different.
Like the
It's very
Danielles and all, right?
Yeah,
They're going out there and-
That's one of our goals as well.
Yeah, excellent. James, any last words from you? What you want to see in Singapore football with the women's, obviously, and how do we go forward? Just name a few things that you think can put us there, to take that next step. Because at the moment, I feel that we can do more, but we need the right people, man.
I think there's a couple of things that would cause a sea change if we could do it. One is getting more scholarship opportunities, and we've seen FAS has done a good job of that the last couple of weeks, getting some girls into the US, because for Singaporeans, where education is very important, everyone wants their kid to be a doctor, a lawyer, the opportunity to go to university in the US on a scholarship, even if it's playing soccer, will get a lot of parents' attention. So I think that scholarship piece is number one. The number two, as we've talked about earlier, really around how do we get this league to be semi-professional, to be professional. So again, the standard is raising, because there's no substitute. You can send a few players overseas here and there, but there's no substitute for having a better domestic league. But ultimately, what would be really nice, we talk a lot about goal 2034 and all those kind of things. What is the women's football master plan? And I sit on the women's football committee, and we have a lot of discussion about a lot of things. But I think it's, now that we've kind of dipped our toe in the water and we've moved a little bit, I think it's time that we set out really what is the direction, so that if I'm a parent, if I'm Maz and I've got a young daughter, that I can sit there and say, okay, 10 years from now, this is where women's football is going to be. And I think we need to be a little bit more confident and a little bit more vocal about what that direction is, so that sponsors and parents and other stakeholders and clubs can join on that journey.
Nice. How about you, Norman?
I'm not looking that far compared to James. I think he's done a really good job in summarizing what is important strategically. But what I'm looking now is more short term, more tactically, right? Like you're talking about funding, it's not enough. It's not only funding, right? But it's also the availability of training pitches. I mean, if you can't even train properly, then how are we going to build up a good domestic league?
Just touching on this, you can continue after this. I was talking about this on the last podcast as well, and again I saw some things that I didn't like. Training at a particular stadium with 2 floodlights only on, and then you're training in the dark with 5 people in there and the coach in there. And listen, as a coach as well, you can be the best coach in the world. When you come down, you see 5 players there, you see 2 lights on.
Exactly.
You don't get motivated to do anything, right? And so in that sense, you're right about that. The pitches and
and let me get back my train of thought.
Sorry.
No problem. But yeah, then I'm not sure if there's a way for FAS and because I understand FAS is running the football stuff and Active Edgy is running other pitches. So I'm not sure if there's a way for them to to work together rather than in silos.
That's what Unleash the Roar is supposed to be, right?
So hopefully that brings us a bit further. And I also think that the fans, right? I mean, no matter what we're doing, we're playing. End of the day, we're playing for fans. Right. If there's no fans, if no one's going to watch the game, then the game is not going to develop, right? So there's a way for us to engage the fans, to bring the fans back to watching football. I mean, I think I was very passionate about Singapore football when I was young. My dad bring me to the stadium, the Malaysia Cup and everything. That's exciting. And then as I think when Singapore came up from the Malaysia Cup, then everything went a bit more stagnant. I'm not sure how we're going to do it, but we're going to try to engage fans to come and watch Aerion's game during the weekends, fan meets, and getting them to buy jerseys and things like that.
Go to cafe football for
discounted price. We're going to probably give some vouchers.
Simon is giving me the eye now,
Yeah,
you're right. And listen, you spoke about the fans and the crowd watching the games, right? I'm ignorant. What are the fans like? As in watching games? Okay, numbers wise, I mean,
couple of hundred.
It's not that bad.
Okay. Mas, how about you? Any changes you would like to see to take us to the next level? Because we can't remain here as Thailand goes better, as Vietnam gets better, as Laos get better. All these clubs getting better or countries getting better. We need to make changes, right? Or what do you see? Or how can we go forward, Mas? I know you've got a freaking long list, but try to summarize.
To start.
But
like I think earlier on, like James mentioned, because I was all going about money, but like James mentioned earlier, like you start from grassroots, getting girls involved. We get many girls playing, and then it will naturally just get bigger, and women's football just get bigger. So one step at a time. Like we don't look we don't talk about 2034 right, just now. Like, just now, I think recently FAS has opened up the like Girls Cup again.
right.
Like, yeah, that's a good start.
Nice.
I smile when I see that.
Right.
We were sharing with our friend like Miza, you
Right,
know
right,
Miza.
right.
Yeah, we were sharing about Mas Loop. They are opening. Yeah, that's a good start, and I hope that stays because we used to have, and then COVID. I think is it COVID? Yeah, COVID, and then we stopped. Now we are like getting there again. Like, yeah, I would. I think I would just start from there and going get more girls to play.
I think it's
That's all.
I think what you're talking about is the opportunities for them to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah, and where to go, like details, where to go, where can I send my girl to?
Right,
You know,
right, right, right.
all this marketing probably. I don't know where to go.
You can share the list with me.
Yeah, I
later
can
on,
say a lot
on the
of
next.
things, but
Yeah, but
I don't
right,
know.
I think and lady and gentlemen, I know. Thanks for being here on the podcast, and I think we haven't even covered like half of what we want to maybe, but we can go on and on. But I think the moral of the story is basically it's women's football is exciting. It's coming up. It's progressing, but we need to do more.
Yep.
All stakeholders, we can't even, we start pointing fingers at the FA and all, but it's not only FA, it's the whole, the ecosystem has got to change, it's got to move forward. So in that sense, I think, firstly, I got to thank James for doing a great job as, the main sponsor with Deloitte and stuff, and for being here, absolutely brilliant. Norman, obviously, for, volunteering and doing a great job as the GM as well. I think, as you said, it's a passion project.
It's a passion project, and I think the women that are playing makes it all worth it. Right?
Exactly, brilliant. That's great stuff. And Mas, thanks for being here as well. And I think it's and the youngest player ever for Singapore. Hopefully somebody breaks it, lah. But I don't think anytime soon. But yeah, and hopefully you get back into the national team.
Thank you so
Unfinished
much.
business, finish that business.
Thank you.
I think we need to see that, right? Guys, this has been excellent. This has been the latest episode of the Silverfox Hustle football project, a football episode, a football talk episode. And till the next time, we shall see you again. Cheers.